if you're forced to use these level 3 chargers, superchargers and everything wherever you need to go, it's basically the same as owning like a hybrid vehicle. You're going to be still going to be paying 100 to 200. Insurance for an electric vehicle, I want to say was always higher, but now I have no idea because I feel like insurance for all vehicles has gone higher across the board. And if you aren't mindful of it and you're always in insane mode or plaid mode and going 0 to 60 wherever you go, you're going to chew through those tires pretty quickly, rotate them every 6,000 miles. And those same tire shops will have a unlimited rotate plan as well that you can pay and just go in every 6,000 miles. They start smelling after a little bit.
It's the
like,
filter. Yeah, because the filter
so literally
it's
change
mold.
the filter. But then I try and stress to people, it still might not be worth it because your time has value as well when you're spending 20 to 40 minutes at a charger instead of just going home and relaxing or whatever it may be. Yeah, because I think on average, I want to say people pay $150 to $200 a month for insurance. All right, welcome to episode 3 of The Breakdown, where we talk about new car deals, used car deals, and also breaking down what repair costs look like for electric vehicles as well. You guys know my name is Dennis, and
I'm Chip.
Thanks for jumping in. And also thank you to our partner, Amber, for partnering with us on this podcast where we try and dive into all these different things. Today, we're going to talk about the hidden cost of electric vehicle ownership that really no one talks about because it's not just buying the vehicle. And there's a lot of maintenance costs. There could be charging costs and other things as well that could be more expensive than a regular car. But before we do that, let's talk about what's happening. There was a Stanford article that was released recently that batteries may last 40% longer. And I want to hear from Chip, do you agree with that? Are batteries lasting? Do you see a ton of failure rates, or those headlines of paying $20K for a battery, is that long gone at this point?
Yes, we are seeing batteries last much longer than I expected. And being a repair shop, we expected to have more demand for the service than we actually do. So yeah, I definitely agree that the batteries are lasting much longer. And just from a side of the actual battery cells, to let you know, most of the failures that we see are not with cells in the battery. It's actually the support equipment, the battery management system, the BMS, the board on the battery is what is going bad. So when we go in and we fix a battery, most of the time we're not actually replacing cells. We're just replacing a little tiny board on the end of it. And it's actually a simple repair once you have the correct tools to find out which one is bad. But it was getting to that point to getting the right tools and making it a simple repair.
Oh, so then when these manufacturers have these warranties, like Tesla, 8-year, 120,000 miles, like other ones have pretty similar, but it goes in powertrain and battery. Are those types of services that you're talking about, like the board connected, are those covered under those warranties? Or
Yeah, but it's
internal.
Yeah, it's internal to the battery. So Tesla won't take your battery apart. They'll only replace it as a whole. So they'll swap your whole battery out and they replace it, and then they send it to their remanufacturing facility where they'll replace the board on it. Us as an independent shop, we'll drop the battery and we'll open up your battery, fix your battery, and put it back up in the car. I think you've heard reports too of people getting a battery with less range than when they went in with, before the battery failure, because of that remanufacturing process. You don't really know what you're getting. But talking about the article, I'd love to talk about that article and how they're doing it. There was some really revealing evidence in there that I was quite surprised by. If give me a second, I'll talk about it. So the way they've been testing these batteries is basically max charging it and then max decharging it. And they do that cycle a bunch of times, and then they run it up against their charts to see, is there a change in the discharge rate over amount of time? And I kind of thought about that when they started saying, well, they started testing it wrong because they're max charging and max decharging. They didn't have any variation. And that kind of really, that sparked it. It's that'd be like driving on the highway with your foot to the ground and then saying, hey, this car's only going to get 6 miles per gallon and last 10,000 miles.
Right.
Well, no crap. If you floored it the whole time, that's all you're going to get. It's like a race engine then, race cars do that. But the race engines only last 600 miles. So that seems like the way they were testing these batteries is by full force on, full force off, and saying, oh, they're only going to last 150,000 miles. They're only going to last 10 years. These batteries aren't any good. But if you test it in a real world use, you have a variety of charging, level 1, level 2, and level 3 charging. You drive it on side streets at slow speeds, which has a much lower demand on the charge, and you drive it on the highway, which has a pretty high demand. So I think this article is right in line that they have been testing them wrong, and I'm not surprised that they will last 40% longer because that's what I'm seeing. You know,
Right.
they're just the service life is much longer. When we test for degradation, we're not seeing anywhere near the levels that we thought that would show up, and I think this is shining light on that.
Yeah, because like last in the couple podcasts before, you talked about owners that you drive 300,000 miles. Those owners on those two vehicles, did they like the battery is probably still intact, but they had like everything around it that needed to be replaced and fixed?
No,
Or
charge port and just from the pins breaking off, like it was physical damage. When I'm talking about the support systems, I'm talking internal to the battery. So
I see.
they're like in the actual battery pack. So Tesla would not service that anyway. You would just have to drop the pack and replace it. We've done onboard chargers, but not for those guys. The Model 3s are pretty dang reliable.
Yeah. So would you say that like a Tesla, like every Tesla out there, like a Model 3, Model Y, we'll take away S and X, but all of them could pretty much go to 200, 300,000 miles and be pretty much okay?
I think so. I think the batteries are definitely made to last the lifetime of the car. Of course, you're going to have premature failures and there's a lot of external factors, but I think the majority of them will go. I think failure rate, what Tesla says 1 in 1,000, I think that number is closer to 1 in 300, which is still exceptional.
Yeah.
I really do.
And so like when we talk about like the hidden costs of ownership, like, you know, battery costs and replacement costs have gone down. And I want to say there's companies out there that I think you mentioned this before, where you could get like a battery, remanufacture one, swap it in on like a Model 3 for under 10 grand.
Used battery, not remanufactured. I don't
Used.
know anybody remanufacturing. We would just get a used one out of a total loss, more modern pack and swap it in. Right now, Model 3 is right at 8,000. And then
Okay.
the Model S, we would upgrade it to a 100 kilowatt pack, and that is 13,000. So if you had like a 75 or an 80 or a 90, we would just put the 100 kilowatt pack in it. And then you'd also get some increased charging, and you don't have to change the suspension. I know there's going to be all these people that say you don't have to change the suspension. It's
I
200
see. It's
pounds.
because
It's like 2 or
heavier.
300 pounds. It's like
It's like
you don't
another
change the
person.
suspension when you have, two people in the back seat. You just deal with
Right.
it.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I guess going back to that, like for the ownership costs, if someone's buying like a 4-year-old Tesla and they plan to own it for 10 years and add on like 200,000 miles, and maybe that battery is running to the end, should they budget for $6,000 to $10,000, $8,000 to $13,000, or do you think by then they'll just dump it and then get into something else? Like, what's the move there?
I think you dump it at the end. You know, I would not own the car for 10 years. You've gotten your use out of it. Let the
Right.
next guy put the battery in it, sell it for whatever it's worth. It still has some intrinsic value, and then let the next person rebuild the car and give it its second life. I think if you've owned it that long, your time is done with it. No
Gotcha,
sense
gotcha.
holding on to it.
Right. But you're definitely not seeing battery failures within like that 6 or 8 years of the car life is what you're saying.
I've had, like I said, I've seen it. Well, those would be under warranty.
Right.
But no, I have not. The one that I have at the shop right now is a 2013 85 two-wheel drive with 189,000 miles on it, and the battery failed. Has a BMS board failure. It's going to be corrosion or something. We haven't opened the pack up yet, but it sat in a field for 3 years out in Memphis somewhere before it came to me, and like that's why it went bad. It's not, some external factor, but that one we
Yeah.
will fix. And that's like a $4,000 or $5,000 repair. So it's significantly less than replacing the whole pack when we can repair them.
Gotcha. And then how are people like paying for this? Like, are they financing it, paying cash? Like, because
Cash.
most, okay. Wow.
Cash.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It surprises me even sometimes. I'll advise some people. I have a lot of people call me up and ask me to do things, and I'll advise them, like, I don't think it's worth it. And I was like, but at the end of the day, I'll take your money. If you want me to
Right.
do it, I'll take your money, and I'll take it. I'm a businessman, so.
Right. But I guess the other thing is like to compare this against, maybe not a Honda Accord because Hondas and Toyotas are so reliable, but like a BMW or a Mercedes, once they hit like 100K mileage, they're going to have issues that could cost $3, $4, $5,000 as well. And so it's like, no matter what, like when a car gets that old, you're going to be paying a lot for service.
Yeah, I think a 2018 Tesla is cheaper to own into the future than a 2018 3 Series or C-Class, without a doubt. And I think your exposure is less on the Tesla. Yes, you could have a $6,000 or $8,000 battery go out, but on the BMW, you could have a $6,000 or $8,000 air conditioning system go out, a headlight go out, a transmission go out, a differential go out. Every single one of those is a $5,000 or $6,000 repair, at the dealer. So I think the exposure rate's far higher on some of the other vehicles once you start getting up there in age.
Yeah, that makes sense. And some of the other hidden costs of ownerships that I always stress to people is tires, because of how fast these cars accelerate, and if you aren't mindful of it and you're always in insane mode or plaid mode and going 0 to 60 wherever you go, you're going to chew through those tires pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Have you seen like the cost of, well, A, do you agree with that? And then B, have you seen costs of tires gone up in the past couple of years?
No, we use NTB. We have a
Okay.
national account with NTB to get our tires, and they stock some of these. Kumho is now making an EV tire, so there's a lot of the other brands. You don't have to get a Michelin or a Pirelli anymore or a Goodyear. There's some of the other, tier two tire manufacturers that are still very good are making EV specific tires that are lighter weight and still with efficiency, and they're a fraction of the cost. We can do a set of tires on a Model 3 with the 19-inch wheels for $600. So tire
Oh,
cost is significantly lower than what it's been in the past because there's more options that are compatible with the car. But still, you're going to replace them every 2 years.
yeah.
A Model Y is 4,500 pounds. It weighs almost as much as a Tahoe, well, at least an old Tahoe. But
Yeah.
it's much smaller, so you wear them out. Um,
Yeah.
I think the other cost that people don't talk about is the charging cost on superchargers and public chargers. I was even a little surprised, but I charge at home normally. Here in Tennessee, our charge rate at home is like 10.5 cents per kilowatt, which is, pretty low. I have a Rivian and, we charge it at home. I don't even notice my power bill really move here, 20, $30 a month because we're not really going too far. But when I
Yeah.
took my Rivian up to Kentucky, I went up to the Corvette Museum and we charged that there, and it was 57 cents a kilowatt. It was like nearly $40 to top off my Rivian, and I was surprised by that. And I know power's a little bit more in Kentucky, but it was kind of shocking to me. So that was a hidden cost that I did not expect for fast charging because I've been charging at home. And you
Yeah.
actually brought up some information when we were chatting before. If you want to talk about the
Yeah.
rate difference, I was even shocked by what you were telling me earlier.
Well, the thing is, like, well, A, which charging stations you go to? EVgo,
It was an
Electrify
EVgo. It was an EVgo, and they had like 6 ports at the Corvette Museum,
I
to
see.
to charge there. So we were making a road trip. I thought, we'll just fully charge at home, and it's about 150 miles, and I have a standard range R1S. So I burned all that up just getting up there on the highway. And
Yeah.
so we had to do the full charge. I think I don't know if 60 kilowatts went in or something like that. I took a picture of it because I
Yeah.
was so surprised.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. And I feel like people maybe steer away from that because it gets pretty technical with like cents per kilowatt and everything. But in California and probably most metropolitan areas, like the range of how much like a Tesla supercharger or these off brand like EVgo, Electrify America can really go up. Like out here, it's anywhere from like 27 cents to like 60 cents. Versus, at house or at our home, depending on where you're at in California, it can be like 25 cents to all the way up to $1 in like San Diego areas from what I've but I try and tell people like, yes, you can save money on gas by getting a electric vehicle, but that's only if you have a level 2 at home. If you're forced to use these level 3 chargers, superchargers and everything wherever you need to go, it's basically the same as owning like a hybrid vehicle. You're going to be still going to be paying 100 to 200, and like you probably experienced paying like $40 give or take at that EV Go charger. The only flip side is if you got free supercharging or free charging plans, which a lot of these other manufacturers have subsidized like 1 to 2 years. But then I try and stress to people, it still might not be worth it because your time has value as well when you're spending 20 to 40 minutes at a charger instead of just going home and relaxing or whatever it may be. But there's different costs to all this too. Like, because you're talking about charging, yes, it costs more, but you also have to look into, can your house even, get a home charger installed level 2 or like permitting and things like that. What are you seeing in your area? Because in our area, like it's as low as, there's handymen that will install level 2 at your house for $200 to $300. But I think like the average is like $300 to $400 for like a wall charger install. What are you seeing in your area just for labor?
That's less than what we see here. We're $500 to $1,000 here to have it put in. And I had gotten quotes even higher than that. When we first moved to Tennessee, we were having chargers put in our garage, and we were having 2 put in, and I was getting quotes like 3 and $4,000. And I'm like, no, man, that's okay.
Yeah.
But they see the Teslas in the driveway, they see the house, and they think it's a cash grab. So we actually partnered with an electrician locally, and we've been with him for 2 years now. And I finally got to the point like, what does this really cost? And he kind of broke it down for me. We make sure that they install that. I can't remember the brand, but there's an upgraded plug.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses a.
Electron.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's like that. We can put a link down there or whatever, but he uses that one in all of his copper. So 500 to $1,000 and then another $500 for the box is what we see for it. And then at home charging, you're 10.6 kilowatt cents per kilowatt. So, $6 to fill up your Model 3 overnight if you bring it in on 20% and go to 80.
But also, why would you want to pay for expensive repair costs? That's where our podcast partner Amber comes into play here. Instead of paying thousands for a warranty for your Tesla vehicle, you can pay month to month, and it could cover expensive repair costs like a DC converter on a Tesla vehicle that someone saved $1,800 by using Amber to cover it. So definitely check out Amber down below, get a month to month quote for your Tesla vehicle. And there's 3 different packages out there. There's basics, essentials, and premium. So instead of paying thousands for a warranty, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a warranty, pay month to month with Amber. Use the link down below and use our promo code Dennis to save some money on it as well. Thank you to Amber for partnering with this podcast, and let's get back to it.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty
But
cheap.
what's your home rate, like cents per kilowatt?
No, that's the home rate, 10.
Oh, I see.
The supercharger rates are 27 to 36 cents. So they're
Gotcha,
like
gotcha.
30, call it 30 cents a kilowatt.
But then what's like the equivalent gas for in your per gallon?
Like what's a per gallon of gas?
Yeah, you haven't looked because you drive electric.
Oh man, I
mean,
no
that's
idea.
funny. When you go electric or you go Tesla, you just don't look at gas prices anymore. But I
I
imagine
burn
it's
a gallon
lower.
of gas a day. So I mean, I pay. I think it's like 60% less. I think we were
Yeah.
paying like $3 or $4 a day in gas, and we pay like $1 a day in electricity. So 25 to 30% less, or say
Yeah.
on the
The other
reverse side.
so the other thing moving from charging is insurance. Like insurance for an electric vehicle, I want to say was always higher, but now I have no idea because I feel like insurance for all vehicles has gone higher across the board.
So I'm going to give you my take on this one too. So remember I was talking about people moving from Toyota and Honda into Tesla and then complaining when you have the luxury buyers move into it, they don't complain as much. And it's because they're used to the high rate. I think the Teslas are insured like luxury cars. So when you go from a luxury car to a luxury car, the rate's not as polarized. It might be a little bit higher, but that would be expected, typically a newer vehicle. I think when we have these people who are used to paying $50 and $60 a month for their older domestic or Honda or Toyota. I'm not saying anything there's bad about it, but I'm just saying it's expectations. You're moving up. I know people don't want to say it's a luxury car, but everybody else, the insurance companies, the repair facilities, we all think they're luxury cars. And so the insurance rates are going to reflect that. So I think it's just a perception. Now, rates are high in general. Everybody's paying more for insurance, but I think the Tesla rates and the EV rates are in line with an equivalent class of car out there. But yes, people sit in my office getting the insurance quote and they're like, whoa, that's significantly higher. And something like, yeah, you're 22 and you're buying a Model 3 Performance.
Well, then, yeah.
That one's going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think on average, I want to say people pay $150 to $200 a month for insurance. Are you seeing about the same or higher or lower?
About $100, $150 is about average what I'm seeing. Like I said, a slight uptick on what they've been paying. I've had a couple people with like 3, 4. I had one guy, his car payment and insurance payment were the exact same. They were $530 a month.
Wow. That's too much. At that point, well, I guess the question is...
Well, he was new to insurance. After a year, get a quote from someone else, and it will probably come back down. You got to pay to play in those type of situations.
Are you seeing like... Because I'm curious, like, when people go to shop for vehicles, is the insurance on a Tesla or an electric vehicle still higher than the hybrid or the plug-in, or it's all pretty much equal at this point, depending on brand?
I think it more has to do with the brand and the class of car. I've never like really compared like a Ford Fusion plug-in to like the gas one, like same year to see if there's any sort of price difference. I'm sure we could get that from a local agent and see maybe an agent can call in and tell us, compare 2-year cars, something that's offered in gas, hybrid, an EV like the Niro, and I'd like to see what the rates would be between a 22 Kia Niro gas, 22 Kia Niro plug-in hybrid, and an EV, and then that might answer our question. Maybe we can do that for another episode.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're an insurance agent, please DM us so we can get you on the pod. But then in terms of other maintenance out there or hitting costs, like I've always stuck to like there's like filter costs that you're supposed to do every year or two. But besides that, there's really nothing else unless I'm missing something. Oh,
No.
I mean, last time you talked about fluid changes, but that's like a later on type of
Tenure.
thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
part of my pitch when you're buying one is, you don't take it to service unless it's broken. You're not going in annually for anything. The cabin air filter, you can replace yourself. Wipers, you can replace yourself. We recommend those every year, but 100,000 miles, 10 years is that first interval. Besides that, it's just drive it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, the other tip I had was tires is, and you could speak to this as well, like you should rotate them if the rim and wheels combo can rotate. Like the performance ones, you can't because it's staggered, which
Yeah.
means there's bigger wheels in the back than the front. But rotate them. I've always told people rotate 6,000 miles. Would you
Yep.
say that's about?
Yeah, it's built in now to the maintenance menu. If you've done your software update, it's on there at 6,200 miles, and I recommend that. Too many people will buy a car from me, brand new tires. They go to have it rotated to 15,000 miles, and the shop refuses to do it because they're too worn down. It's like you got to keep on swapping to get that life out of it. So yeah, the 6,000 miles. Check your maintenance reminder in there. Stick to it.
I love it. All right, so now we'll head into our pro tip of the week. And so my first one is all about tires. You can tell that because it's such a big cost to me as being someone that focuses on new. My tip is find your local tire shop, whether it's America's Tire, and get some sort of warranty or hazard warranty. Even like Costco, if you buy tires from them, it comes with that. But I feel like that saved me a ton. It can cost anywhere from $50 per tire, but once you get a flat, you basically go to America's Tire and they replace it completely free. And of course, you buy a new one. But that's like my pro tip for the day. And then of course, rotating was another one to talk about. Like figure out if your tires and rims can be rotate, and then rotate them every 6,000 miles. And those same tire shops will have a unlimited rotate plan as well that you can pay and just go in every 6,000 miles. What are your thoughts on that, Chip?
I agree with that, and I'm gonna piggyback on there. And while you're having your tires rotated, I would say have your cabin air filter replaced. My pro tip is to replace that every single year. I can't tell you how many cars I pull that cabin air filter out of, and it's the original one that's like 6 years old. You don't realize how much dirt and nastiness is in that filter that's preventing from getting in your car. It's for your health. Change your
Right.
cabin air filter. We charge $99 to do it. We do it while you wait. It's a very simple service, and if you're going to have your tires rotated, hopefully that shop can get it done. A lot of value-added services there.
Well, that's interesting because I want to say the Tesla recommendation is like every 2 years. And I've always been of the belief you should do it 1 year, especially living in LA, like all the smog and the pollution. But you're also saying you're in
Every year?
Tennessee, like 1 year to do it.
Yeah, we pull
Yeah.
them out. I mean, I've even like put a new filter in and pulled it out a couple months later just to see how dirty it is, and you'd be surprised how much we get a lot of pollen here
Okay.
in the South. So definitely every year I recommend. And it helps keep your AC system clean too. Keeps it at the peak performance and blowing, especially when it gets hot out.
Oh, that's a good thing you brought that up because a lot of people complain about the AC systems on the Model 3 or all Teslas. They start smelling
That's
after a
it.
little
It's
bit.
the
Like
filter. Yeah, because the
so
filter
literally
it's
change the
mold
filter.
growing in your filter. That's
Wow.
what it is. You need to change your filter. If it smells, I pull it out and it's just crusted and moldy because you get some moisture down in there. I mean, it's inherent. It's just where it
Right.
is. So yeah, change that. Pro tip.
I love it. Oh, so that's the pro tip. Okay, sweet. Perfect.
That was my pro tip. I got my hot
Okay.
take. I'm sorry. Or yeah, pro tip. I got a hot take for the end here.
I love it. Perfect. So in this next section, we take questions from you all. And so there's a form down below where you can submit your video question or even write it out, and then we'll answer anything. And it can be about anything: buying a new Tesla, a used Tesla, service questions that you have. Like maybe you got a warning light, you have no idea how it works. Write it out as much as you can, and we'll try and answer it in this section. But now we've reached to the end. So thank you all for watching. And this is the end where we talk about our hot takes. We're going to be calling it the discharge. And so go ahead, Chip. What's your hot take for today?
Oh, I had one this week, and I got a gripe about this. Paying a diag fee to see if the broken part is under warranty. Hear me out on this one. I got a Ford Escape Hybrid. It's under its powertrain warranty. So hybrid powertrain, 8-year, 100,000 miles. It was a 2020 with 60,000 on it. So it's out of bumper to bumper. It has an emission light on for an EGR valve. So it's covered under the emissions warranty. We'll just take it to Ford. So I take it to Ford and they go, oh, we got to diag it. Well, I already diagged it. Here's what's wrong. Here's the code. It needs an EGR valve. It's covered under the emissions warranty, so I don't need it. They're like, no, no, no. We have to diagnose it to see if it's under warranty. And I was like, well, do I get the diag fee back if it is? No.
Wait.
So I had to pay a $150 diagnostic fee to determine what I already knew was covered under warranty, and then the warranty claim paid for it. But I still had to pay. This is a new development. It never used to be like that. Back when I was a mechanic, 25 years ago, diagnostic was free if you got the job done. You'd bring your car in, hey, I got a noise, okay, and we determined it was a control arm or something, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get that done. Okay, you got to pay the $150 diagnostic fee now that you know what's wrong with it, and you can go do whatever. If you got the job done, we didn't charge you the diagnostic. We just charged you to replace whatever the part was. So it's always been like that. Now, shops started charging diagnostic on top of the repair if you were out of warranty. Okay, fine. I can understand that. Techs, we want to get techs paid more. So, yes, we have time to diagnose it and then we have time to fix it. Fine. But warranty, this is starting to get to the point where now I got to pay the tech to determine if the car you sold me is messed up under your warranty. And I think that's taking it too far. I know when we were at BMW, even if it was the car was under warranty, we did not charge diagnostic. And that was just to keep the customer service level very high. Those people are not going to pay it. But I saw this locally at Ford, and I talked to the service manager about it. Obviously, I was pissed. And he's like, nope, that's the way it is. And now I'm seeing it everywhere now. So it's like the new trend. And I can tell you about all these trends that are going on behind the scenes, like matrix pricing, on the service rates. And we can talk about that. I'll put that in another episode, what matrix pricing is for parts and labor rates, and expose all those people. But yeah, the diagnostic for warranty is criminal in my opinion. But all the dealerships are moving that way. So it's another way for them to capture some revenue from the consumer and then get paid by the manufacturer to fix it, even if you go in there with your diagnostics. So
do you think that's coming from Ford or like the manufacturer pushing it? Or you think it's just a profit center for dealerships?
100% a profit center coming from either the owner of the store or the executive team. That's where all of this, we worked for Public. I know how these meetings go. It's definitely Ford, and I'm sure Ford, if they found out about it, they'd be pretty upset about it because that is not customer-centric. That is dealer-centric. You are not doing what's right for the customer. You want to create customer retention. You want them to feel that if there's a problem, they can come back to you, have their car looked at, have it taken care of, and then once it's out of warranty, then you can start charging those fees. But, you're just putting a bad taste in people's mouth.
Yeah, because warranty work should be completely free because it's the problem
I should not
have product.
I know there's a problem with the car. That's why I'm here. There's a light on the dash. Clearly, there's something wrong. I shouldn't have to pay you to tell me what's wrong and then if it may be under warranty or not.
Yeah, because Tesla actually started recently doing this as well. I don't know if you've seen that. They'll charge
they do
like a
low voltage isolation or whatever it's called.
No, actually, so I brought my Model X for service, and it was like for creaking or whatever, and they pre-charged me $225 to diagnose it, and then once they found out there was a warranty fix, they removed that $225 and they covered everything for free. So I could see that from that end because they're trying to like not waste, but trying to eliminate people from coming in for something that wouldn't be warranty work, and so that they want to charge a little bit for that. But if it's on the Ford side, once they realize it's warranty, it should be completely refunded and stripped off and everything should be free. And so
if it's a new car, it's under bumper to bumper, the manufacturer should just make sure the car is right, because once it's outside of that warranty, they want nothing to do with you. They want nothing. It's black and white. So I'm of the mindset you need to get what's due to you, but I know that's not always the case.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So my hot take is just Tesla in general, in terms of their redesigns. It kind of feels like they're not pushing too much, besides the Cybertruck. Cybertruck has all the crazy steer-by-wire technology and bigger batteries and everything. But in terms of like the Model 3 and the Model Y redesign, they kind of just not phoned it in, but they're kind of going the Apple way where they're just making, a nice camera update or a nice sleek design, maybe a little bit bigger battery. and they're just making like the minimal tweaks to not, I guess, incur too much cost so that they can still have profit margin and still sell a bunch. But that can work a couple of times, but after a while, like the industry, as you're probably seeing, like all these different manufacturers, they're leveling up in terms of what they're offering, and they're still not as good as Tesla technology, but they're getting close. Like you have a Rivian, and would you say it's like getting close? I mean, the craftsmanship of a Rivian is definitely up there, but technology wise, still a little lacking.
Technically, it's a Android or Google based infotainment system, and it leaves some things to be desired. Tesla definitely has a better system. Now, the build quality of the truck and the way it drives and everything is superb. Rivian will 100% make it, no doubt. I got great hopes for them. I'm super satisfied with my truck. They come out with a smaller one, or even if they get into cars, as long as it's the same kind of quality and drives the same. I think they'll do great. My truck was $79,000. We lease it for $900 a month, and I think it's worth every penny. I was hard pressed to find something that cool and that good for that price point.
Yep. Any issues in your ownership so far?
The first day we had it, the AC didn't work. And it was now remember I got the Gen 2 like the week it came out, and we had to take it back in, and they actually had to remove a little bit of Freon from the AC system. They said it was across the board, and then it's been perfect after that. Not a single issue in 6 months.
Oh, okay. So then it's pretty good at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And what would you say is like customer service level? Because that's one gripe that people have with Tesla is like you can't contact anybody to get your stuff fixed.
All right. So when we bought the car, the delivery was a disaster. It was it took 5 days to buy the car. So everything was done online. When I went in there to buy it, it was a process. Apply here. We wanted to put in the business name. Then they wouldn't let us do it in the business name. So then I had to do it in my personal name. So then we had to start it all over again. Then delivery day comes, and I had to sign some physical documents at the dealership. So get a babysitter for my kids, get an Uber ride there. We're ready to sign, and they had me sign the power of attorney in the wrong spot. I go, no problem, just get another one. We can't generate another one. We got to reach out to the finance team. They have to approve another one to be sent, and they couldn't get it done on a Saturday. So they made me leave and come back like 2 days later to sign this piece of paper again so I could finally take the truck. And, I've already given them my down payment. I mean, it's already done. It's just some stupid formality. And I was like, you're going to let me take the truck, right? And they're like, I'm sorry, we can't let you take it. And I'm like,
oh, geez.
So they need some help with their delivery process. I could help them. They just need to eliminate all the bad stuff. But it's service has been okay. You still got to wait like 2 or 3 weeks for an appointment, just like Tesla. But they've been okay with it.
Love it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
So they'll be okay.
Well, thank you all for watching. Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching our episode 3 of The Breakdown. Definitely hit that subscribe. Our next episode is going to be, the title is going to be, watch out for this when buying a used Tesla. We're going to dive into all the different things that you might need to look out for when buying some of these used different Tesla vehicles or even electric vehicles. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
Thanks, guys.